Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rahakwadash. Double honors to the Apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who tune these videos. Alright, so in this video, I wanted to speak about how the 1/3 is going to start coming into the ministry, coming into the fold and believing in the doctrine that we preach. Because it's you can see with everything happening on the news, it's getting real blatant, and a lot of people, namely the 1/3, their lot is they're kind of like in the position of Thomas, where he had to see it to believe it, and a lot of these people, when they pass by us, they disregard it, but ultimately there's going to be members in this ministry coming in at the last minute. And so, with that, a lot of those people, like the 1/3 I'm speaking about, they're going to come in this ministry once they start seeing more prophecies happen and the power happening, where we're going to have faith on a level with it, where we're going to be able to cure people in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. Just as as the scriptures happened, when Yahweh Shai was going around healing the sick and cleansing the lepers. He had a lot of people come to the ministry, to inquire, and you're gonna have that scenario play out again, And I was meditating about how, because right now in the current situation that we're in, none of us are really, going out there like making a blind person see, just like that, because our faith is still being built up. We still have this grace period, not only for the people on the outside who aren't in this ministry yet, but for ourselves also, because we're supposed to continually sharpen our sword, as the scriptures say, iron sharpeneth iron. We go over the precepts, the history, so that we have this doctrine sure. And one thing too is, we're actually going through a purging process, because the Heavenly Father, as it says in I'll go ahead and actually start that in Sirach 2. Alright, so the book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus, and I'm just going to get to the point. This is in 2, verse 5. It says, "For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity." So us in this ministry, we're currently in that, that trial, where we're being purged, from our old selves into a fine gold of Ophir. And so, having said that, I was meditating about how, this is that grace period, because we're still going through those, those trials and purging process, because when we're at that moment, when we have to rely solely on faith, you want to be found to the best of your ability without spot and blame, because we're still currently in that grace period, and even elder brothers and a lot of the members of Great Millstone, still have to practice some of these things. They still got to get certain things right. They still got to rehearse these righteous acts just a little bit more, so that when the time comes, we'll be able to fly when we jump out the nest. Alright, so this is in 2 Timothy 2, verse 19. It says, "Nevertheless, the foundation of the Most High standeth sure, having this seal, the Lord knoweth them that are his, and let every one that nameth the name of Mashiach depart from iniquity." And that starts with us, because when we go out there in the highways and hedges, we're not being hypocrites. We're actually, when we go out there and we preach and we tell our nation that they're going off, it's not that we're pretty much lying to ourselves, because the word of the Lord is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. With that, you can use this knowledge, but it's come with a price, because you got to be able to apply it to yourself also, except you be pricked by the words that you're actually saying out into the world. So that's why during this grace period, we're purging ourselves, we're getting better, we're departing from iniquity more and more. Like a scenario that I think of is not every brother is addicted to cigarettes, before they came to this ministry, but some of those people that just using this as a thing, is that it might take a little bit longer for them to really fully put off that demon. and that goes for just any type of demon or any thing that in this ministry that we're found lacking. Some of the brothers in this ministry aren't that good at fasting. That's why we still have to rehearse these acts. We still have to go over these precepts so that it's fluid during game day. And so that we're pretty much departing from iniquity. From all from the head to the toe. And so verse 20 says, "But in the great house there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and of earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified and meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work." Because we want to have our wedding garments. We don't want to be like the ones who sneak in, or the others like the 5 virgins who didn't get the oil in time. We want to be those who are assured of salvation. We put on therefore the elect. And the elect, when they come across this word, it's going to stir something up in their minds. And some of those people, they might have to see it to believe it, which that's when that power comes. That we're actually going to be able to heal brothers in this ministry. And this is in verse 22. It says, "Flee also youthful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart." So like we're still currently going in that processing period. And I myself, I like to read this and meditate about how even though I might look like I'm really doing this thing like without spot and blame, I always meditate about how a just man falleth 7 times, but he get back up. Because you have a lot of people in this ministry. Well, like I say like you got a lot of people on the outside of this ministry. They don't understand it when we say that we follow the laws to the best of our ability. Because there's that grace period that people they just skip over, or they just don't hear or understand when we say those things. And IOIC, they like to boast and brag the law. Yet they're not practicing the law of faith. Because your faith is going to be the thing that's going to make you flourish in this ministry. It's the faith that's going to make a person go off yet get back up. Because we're currently going through these trials, and it's not an easy thing, and so like a person will fall in this ministry, to an extent. They're not going to fall to a point where they're bursted, because of those they were never really with us. The ones who would seem to fall, the spirit basically is you're going to see that they're going to get back up. And this is in John 15 verse 3. It says, "Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you." And this goes to the baptism, because a lot of us, well, I'll say it like this, all of us were in the broad gate that leadeth to destruction. And it wasn't until we came across this word, through the apostles of Great Millstone on down, whether it be on YouTube or walking by the streets, seeing the ministry, seeing the body, seeing the spirit, functioning. It wasn't until then that you weren't really, sent on this mission, because once you heard this word is when everything started being purged, because it goes into your mind and it pretty much kicks everything out. And that's what you want. You want to have your eyes single in this ministry. Like God says in 2 Timothy 2, we're pretty much putting off the world. We're pretty much putting Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai in the forefront. And that actually is what it says it in Ecclesiastes 12, at the very end, because this is the whole duty. And that's why we're rehearsing these righteous acts, because when we're in the kingdom, this is going to be our whole duty, and we're actually going to be able to do it. Here in this world, we're not able to do it because we have the hearts of stone. Also, the enemy is above us, and there's literally no way you can keep the laws down here, even if you tried. But so this is in Ecclesiastes 12 verse 13. It says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." So that's ultimately like the answer to life, or like when people have the question of what is the meaning of life, it's this, and we're going to be able to do this, to the fullest once we're delivered out of this captivity and we receive those hearts of flesh. But before that, we're going to go through a lot more purging processing periods, and you're going to have the 1/3 come into the fold. And then, it's what's going to differentiate the 1/3 from the 2/3 is that they're going to have faith. And so this is in Matthew 7:3. And because I was meditating about how, like, we're purging ourselves, we can't be hypocrites, because when we go out there in the highways and hedges, we're actually rehearsing these things. We're not just doing this as like a stunt or a gag or a gig. We're actually putting our lives on the line. And when we teach these things, we actually apply them. We're not we're not Hebrew Israelites on the weekend only. We're Hebrew Israelites all throughout our time in this ministry, throughout our whole walk. And so this is in Matthew 7:3. It says, actually, I might start a little bit just at the top. All right, so this is Matthew 7:1. It says, "Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but consider not the beam that is in thine own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, Let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye." And that all starts by hearing this word. You hear this word, then you start believing. You start believing, then you're going to have works, because faith without works is dead. And that all starts by self-examination. If you weren't self-examining, you wouldn't know. For example, like your hair is messed up, or there's some food on your shirt or something. You look at yourself first before you look at other brothers in this ministry. And that's kind of like the mentality we have in this ministry. We examine ourselves before we examine others. Salakia. All right, because in these coming days, we're gonna have that power to cast out devils. Because upon this ministry, actually, I'm gonna get that real quick. This is in Matthew 16:18, and it says, "And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." So long as you're self-examining yourself and actually utilizing this grace period as to what you're supposed to be doing with it, you're going to be able to perform these miracles. And one of the smallest things the scriptures say is that with the faith of a grain of mustard seed, we're going to be able to move mountains. And so you have to correlate that to being able to cast off demons off of people too. Just like how Yahawashi cast off the demon off of I forget his name, but the story of Legion. That one guy, he was chained up and he was insane, and when he came up to Yahawashi, those demons, because that's what Legion, I believe it means, like 7,000. Well, you see, in the dictionary it says a unit of 3,000 or 6,000 men in ancient Roman army. Pretty much a great number of demons that individual had. But Yahawashi was able to cast those demons off of him. And all the works that Yahawashi did, we're going to do those and more. And so this is in Acts 19:15. It says, "And the spirit," it says, "And the evil spirit answered and said, Yahawashi I know, and Paul I know, but who are ye? And the man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on them, and overcame them, and prevailed against them, so that they fled out of that house naked and wounded. And this was known to all the Jews and the Greeks also dwelling in Ephesus, and fear fell upon them, and the name of the Lord Yahawashi was magnified." So you don't want to be caught, without your armor, your breastplate of righteousness, your shield of faith, all the things that you need when you're out here on the battlefield, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We're actually going through a spiritual power where the battle is really in your mind. So like this is why we have that purging period. This is why we have this grace period, so that when we rehearse these righteous acts, we put them into action. We're able to prevail against these demons. So like this scenario, you could read the whole chapter. These people, they didn't really understand the severity of what they were doing, and that's why this evil spirit was able to say, he knows Yahweh Shai, he knows Paul, he knows all the elect, because it says that the gates of hell shall not prevail against this ministry, but to those who weren't a part of this ministry, this evil spirit was able to leap on them and pretty much beat them up, to the point where they got naked and wounded. All right, so so you want to self-examine, take that mote out of your eye, so that when you go up against these demons, you're not naked and wounded. Also, we want to have a flawless victory when it comes to these trials that we're about to enter. And so this is in Mark 13. This is in Mark 3, and I'm gonna start at 14. It says, and he ordained 12 that they should be with him, and that he might send them forth to preach, and to have power to heal sickness and to cast out devils. And so, that's the the ministry that we're about to be in. We actually technically are already casting out devils. It's just in a subtle sense that you're not going to have the 1/3 come and see all these things, because right now it's more of a only the sincere are adhering to what the Spirit is saying right now. And so this is in Mark 6 and 13. It says, and they cast out many devils and anointed with oil many that were sick and healed them. And, so that's the thing that we're going to be doing with the 1/3, because they're going to come to us pretty much wounded and devastated, because this world has cast them away. And they, ultimately they're not going to take the MOTB, so they're going to have to take refuge amongst the body, amongst the hopeful elect, who like right now. That's why, when we say that the apostles of Great Millstone and the elders on down, we're going to be the ones who are going to administer, these powers, because our faith is at a level where we're going to be able to move mountains pretty much. And I got this other precept here in Luke 11 verse 14. It says, and he was casting out devils. It says, and he was casting out a devil, and it was dumb. And it came to pass, when the devil was gone out, the dumb spake, and the people wondered. But some of them said, he cast out devils through Beelzebub, the chief of the devils. And others tempting him sought of him a sign from heaven. But he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. If Satan also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? Because ye say that I cast devils through Beelzebub. And if I be by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your sons cast them out? Therefore shall they be your judges. But if I with the finger of the Most High cast out devils, no doubt the kingdom of the Most High is come upon you. And it's going to, when Yahweh Shai was casting out devils and healing, he actually had a multitude come up against him. And this is something that you have to bear in mind. That's why when we rehearse these righteous acts, the hopeful elect, when we're actually performing these things because we have a level of faith, we're not going to be wavered by these people who are going to come up against us. It's going to be a good indicator on who we aren't going to bless and heal. And so with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachak Ladash, Shalom Akim.